Broadcasting live from the Albay PIO News Center, providing you the most exclusive news updates from all over the province. This is News at 12. In the local scene, the Gender and Development Division highlighted the experiences of women in leadership in the latest episode of Tinig ng Kababaihan aired on February 12 yesterday. The episode was hosted by Gender and Development Focal Point System Technical Working Group Chairperson Dr. Rowena L. Ondiz and featured Albay Provincial Council of Women President Carmen Geraldine Rosal. Rosal shared her journey in leading the Women's Federation, her experience in politics, and her role as a woman supporting a spouse in public service. The discussion highlighted the dynamics, strengths, and adjustments involved in occupying and supporting leadership roles. It also emphasized the role of learning and faith, connecting the conversation to themes from the program's previous episode. The episode previewed the upcoming month-long celebration of Women's Month in March. Tinig ng Kababaihan is aired every Thursday at 10:30 a.m. on Albay PIO Net TV, featuring stories and discussions that amplify women's voices and advocacy. In other story, the Sangguniang Panlalawigan of Albay conducted an ocular inspection of the newly constructed PIO Duran Memorial District Hospital building in Barangay Karatagan to assess its readiness for operation. The inspection was led by the Committee on Health and Social Services, chaired by 1st District's Board Member Marian Caroline Siga So, together with the Committee on Public Works and Infrastructure, chaired by Board Member Emmanuel C. Ribaya. The activity focused on evaluating the facility's structural condition, compliance with required standards, and overall preparedness ahead of full operations. Provincial officials said the inspection is part of the ongoing efforts to ensure that public infrastructure projects are safe, compliant, and capable of delivering essential services. During the visit, key hospital areas were assessed and concerns on facility improvements, safety measures, and service capability were discussed. Siga So said the provincial government is completing regulatory and operational requirements, including permits and licenses, to ensure the hospital's readiness. Officials expressed confidence that the hospital will be ready to provide essential health services ahead of its planned soft opening on March 24, 2026. In other news, the Police Regional Office 5 warned the public to remain vigilant against online romance scams ahead of Valentine's Day as cases continue to exploit emotions and cause financial losses. Police Regional Office 5 said scams usually start on online platforms where suspects pose as foreigners or overseas Filipino workers and build emotional connections before asking for money or personal information. Police identified common targets as single, widowed, elderly, or emotionally vulnerable individuals and reminded the public never to send money, intimate materials, or sensitive data to unverified contacts. Acting Regional Director, Police Brigadier General Erosito N. Miranda urged the public to verify online identities and be cautious of sudden declarations of love or urgent financial requests. The Albay Police Provincial Office encouraged Albayanos to immediately report suspected romance scams to the nearest police station or seek guidance from authorities. Police said the advisory is part of the ongoing efforts to strengthen public awareness and protection against cyber-enabled fraud. Authorities reminded the public to celebrate Valentine's Day responsibly and stay alert, stressing that genuine relationships are built on trust and transparency. In the national scene, The Supreme Court has ruled that same-sex couples who live together can be considered co-owners of property under Article 148 of the Family Code if there is proof that both partners contributed to its purchase. The court's second division reversed earlier rulings by the lower courts and declared that the former same-sex partners each own 50% of their disputed house and lot. They explained that while Article 147 applies only to unions between a man and a woman, Article 148 allows properties acquired during cohabitation to be treated as common property if there is clear evidence of joint contribution. The justices noted that the respondent had signed an acknowledgement of third-party interest in real property, which supported the petitioner's claim as a co-owner entitled to demand the division of the property. The case began after the couple, who started living together in 2005 and bought a house in 2006 under only one partner's name, separated in 2007 and disagreed over selling the property. In separate concurring opinions, several justices stressed that same-sex relationships should not be ignored under the law and urged Congress to take action in granting broader legal recognition and rights to LGBTQ+ couples. In other story, several Catholic schools have announced that they will suspend classes on February 25, 2026 to mark the 40th anniversary of the EDSA People Power Revolution. The 1986 uprising removed former President Ferdinand Marcos Sr. from power and restored democracy in the Philippines. But since 2023, the administration of President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. has chosen not to declare the date a non-working holiday. Earlier this month, the Catholic Educational Association of the Philippines and the Catholic Bishops' Conference of the Philippines' Education Commission urged Catholic schools nationwide to treat February 25 as an academic holiday. The groups said the lessons of EDSA remain important today, stressing that democracy requires vigilance, honesty, accountability, respect for human rights, and a strong stand against corruption, historical distortion, and disinformation. In other news, the Department of Justice DOJ Assistant Secretary Michelle Ann Lapus told lawmakers that the government cannot rely only on arrests and prosecutions to stop online sexual abuse and exploitation of children, or SAIC, and child sexual abuse material, CSAIM, stressing the need for stronger and more sustainable prevention efforts. Lapus said both trafficked and AI-generated sexual abuse materials are harmful, noting that while no one has been prosecuted for AI-generated CSAIM as of December 2025, such content can normalize abuse and must also be addressed. She added that underreporting remains a major challenge for authorities like the Philippine National Police and the National Bureau of Investigation, since the government can only act when cases are formally reported. During the House Committee on Public Order and Safety hearing, lawmakers approved the creation of a technical working group led by Sultan Kudarat Representative Bella Suwan Singh to consolidate proposed bills, including planned amendments to the Anti-USAID and Anti-CSAIM Act, targeted for passage by June 2026. And in the news outside the country, Portugal's Interior Minister, Maria Lucia Amaral, has resigned after facing criticism over how the government handled the recent deadly storms, the presidency announced on Tuesday. In a statement, the presidency said Amaral felt she no longer had the personal or political support needed to continue in her role. Her duties will temporarily be taken over by Prime Minister Luis Montenegro, who leads the center-right government. The government has been criticized for its response to 2 weeks of severe storms and strong winds that killed at least 7 people and cost an estimated 4 billion euros in damage. The Iberian Peninsula has recently experienced longer and more intensive extreme weather events, such as heavy rains and heat waves, with scientists linked to climate change caused by the burning of fossil fuels. In other story, leaders of U.S. immigration agencies faced harsh questions in Congress over President Trump's mass deportation campaign and the recent deaths of 2 protesters in Minneapolis. Trump said a softer touch might be needed on immigration after the Minneapolis shootings and announced that hundreds of federal officers would leave the city. Democrats criticized the Department of Homeland Security's immigration raids and threatened to block its funding, while Republicans defended the administration's deportation efforts. Thousands of federal agents have carried out raids in Minneapolis, sparking protests, and the fatal shootings of Renee Good and Alex Petit, which have caused national outrage. Congressional Democrats are demanding changes to ICE operations, including ending secret patrols and requiring warrants, while negotiations with the White House on funding and reforms remain unresolved. And finally, in the news outside the country with reference to the Philippines, the Philippines and the United States plan to carry out over 500 military and security activities this year, including large exercises, air drills, and joint training with other friendly nations, a Philippine Navy official said. These activities are part of the Mutual Defense Board Security Engagement Board, which guides defense cooperation under the 1951 Mutual Defense Treaty between Manila and Washington, requiring each country to help the other if attacked. Officials said the timing of the exercises is critical as China aims to complete military preparations to forcefully unify Taiwan by 2027, and the drills serve as a deterrent against any actions that could destabilize the region. The Philippine government is also upgrading facilities in the northern islands of Batanes and Babuyan to support possible evacuations of over 200,000 Filipinos living in Taiwan, as well as other foreign nationals in an emergency. Military officials added that the Armed Forces of the Philippines regularly practices non-combatant evacuation operations using civilian ships and planes while watching signs of rising tensions in the Taiwan Strait and preparing for the worst-case scenario. And that's the news at 12, February 13, 2026. We'll be back tomorrow for more news updates. Thanks to our news writer, LJ Lurejo and Naomi Ruth Hernandez. And on the technical side, Chad Bodis. And our Provincial Information Officer, OIZ Marty Gonzalez. And under the supervision of our Governor, Noel Iruzal. I am Greg Hallare. Thank you for subscribing. Albay in my heart.